Good morning. It's still Monday, the February 2nd, second day of February, the day after the Super Bowl victory of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I want to respond to your Story of an Hour discussion board. I thought you did a better job on Story of an Hour, and I think with the advice I give you and as you continue to proceed in the course that you will continue to do even better. But I really enjoyed the Story of an Hour discussion board. First thing I would like to say is that Samantha Southall, I really thought she posted a very nice thread. So if you want to see an example of a good thread, look at hers. And I thought Marlowe's thread was excellent. So those are two examples of the kinds of posts I'm looking for, threads I'm looking for initially in response to me. Now, as far as responding to each other, I hope you don't mind me mentioning names sometimes if you're not quite on the mark with something. But Natasha had written about the husband's abusive ways. In my head, I was like, oh no, the husband wasn't abusive. And what was so great is that Caitlin respectfully disagreed with Natasha as well, and then she provided specific details from the text to support that answer. She brought up that line where the face that had never looked upon her save with love, and the gentle hands folded in death. Those two lines make it very clear that Mr. Mallard was not a bad guy. What a lot of you picked up on was that what was bad was the institution of marriage. That men and women, sometimes were sort of forced to be in these relationships for reasons other than love, and this was very confining. And so that the conflict in the story that most of you got was Mrs. Mallard probably versus society, the expectations for women in marriage, and I think I can't remember who noted it, but this was a respectful way for her to sort of get out of being married. She had fulfilled her obligation, and it's not her fault her husband died, and then she could be free. Those of you who noted that she also had an internal conflict, that's good. She didn't want to feel joy at the fact that her husband had just died, but the awareness that she would now be able to live with herself was just too much to bear. And so there was also that internal conflict, trying to come to terms with the idea of being free. I liked Christine said that some readers might like the ending, and especially in the 19th century, some readers may be satisfied with that ending. She got what she deserved. She shouldn't have been feeling that way. But, and Josh Murphy in class also kind of had that feeling. And I would think that maybe, and this is just from my experience, sometimes it's the male readers who are just really shocked at Mrs. Mallard and are almost kind of glad for what happens to her at the end. But I noted that Kate said, she posted a great thread, and she said most marriages are equal today, so maybe it's hard for us to understand, and I thought that was interesting, because I don't know that I agree with that idea that most marriages are equal and the role that men and women play are equal. So it's still debatable. That's what's great about literature, right? It's still alive. This story was written so many years ago, 100 and maybe 20 years ago or so, and we can still debate and talk about it. Last thing I'd like to talk about is the irony in the story. There's a lot of irony in the story, and irony is one of those literary terms that you definitely want to make sure you understand and start defining. Irony is a device in which the unexpected occurs, and that's really the way I like to define it. The unexpected occurs, and there's